Hi, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to finish up our Altogether Spooky Quilt from the Fort Worth Fabric Studios. Our last week to put it together. So let's get started. Here's the three colors we're going to be using. They are the strips between the blocks. This is how I lay it out on my table. I have the pumpkin and then the pumpkin on the top. They're one underneath the other. Then over here on my right I have it with the pumpkins on the bottom and the hats on the top. And then I have my three strips set right here. So I look at figure A, and figure A says we need an L, so I grab an L, pull it out here. Then it says I need the hat on the top with the candy corn, so I put it right next to it. Now I went ahead and when I made these, I did not square up any of these blocks. I've squared them all up today. They all have to be 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. The next thing it says on this figure is to take F, which is the middle one. This is why I left the letters up there, so I don't get confused. And then it says to take the same exact, wait a minute. Okay, this one should be on the right. So the hat's going up with the point is on the right, and the hat at the bottom, upside down, is the left one. So it looks like this. It'll be an L. Whoops, I turned my light out. It'll be hats on the bottom or upside down candy, whatever you want to call it. Then it's going to be the F, which is the bats. Then it's going to be the candy corn with the hats on the top. Then the letter K, which is the next strip. So it's first strip, middle strip, right strip. And that's how we're going to sew it. Just like that. Then when I get it sewn, I'm going to put it up on the design wall. Now this is the way I do it. I will sew this one on first. I will iron it open. I will sew this one to this. I'll iron it open. Then I'll sew this to this. I'll iron that open. And then this to this, I'll iron it open. I just do it so that everything is laying flat, and it just feels more comfortable for me. You don't have to iron any of it if you want until you're at the tail end. But if you do iron, the seams go in towards the strip, not out this direction. They're going in. So when I get the whole thing done, go ahead and put your first 2 squares and 3 strips together, and then I'll show you how it looks like on the other side when it's ironed. I'm adding my last strip, so I wanted to make a comment here. Now, you know that I do a lot of pinning because I want to make sure it's straight on there. When you come to the back side, and you can do either side, bricks facing each other, or you can flip it over and you could do it on this side. Just make sure that you pin this corner here, because this is where all the bulk is. There are no nuzzling seams this time. Strictly you got to watch the bulk on this, because this is 4 pieces of fabric together at this corner. So you want to make sure you catch this one, because this is ironed, in my case, I don't know about yours, but it's ironed towards the outside. And I don't want that to catch and make a mess on my corner. So I'm doing it last. That's why I'm starting at this end over here. But I still have it pinned because it's going to be going the opposite direction. When my sewing machine comes down on it, it's going to hit it if I don't have it pinned to keep it down, because I'm coming down from this end up here. I'm just doing them all the same way. I'm still using a 2.5 inch seam. I'm using a size 12 needle just like before, and I'm actually doing this in just plain cotton, white. Nothing's different about it. I just don't want you to feel like it's redundant to keep watching me constantly do the sewing part of it. It's a 1/4 inch seam, just like it was before. And when we're done with this block itself, this strip here, this is going to be figure 1, and I'll put it up on my design board. And then we're going to go on to figure 2. And I got to come as close as I can to that needle without touching it, so that it holds that down. There we go. Now I'll take it over there and I'll iron this open. Now all the seams are pressed towards the sashing, and that's what it's saying to do. And so before you you say that you're finished with this, make sure you look at your diagram, which I'm going to bring it out here for you, because this is figure 1. We want to make sure that the hats are on the top on the first one, and the hats are on the top in the second one. The only difference is it's upside down. This is the big bottom, and this is the small top. So that block's finished, and I'm going to put it on the design wall. I'm going to start on figure 2, which is this one right here. And we'll have 4 this time instead of 2. Now for this, I laid it out on my ironing board. So I take my figure 2 right here. And so I laid a pumpkin to the left. And then this here, since I feel like this is directional, I went ahead and made it so that this was up. She was up. I mean, she's really flying sideways, but still, I didn't want it upside down. The next one is the hat on the bottom at the top, which that sounded confusing. This is the F, which is the bats. Then we have the hats, and then we have the last pumpkin. And that's what figure 2 is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew all of these together. Same way we did figure 1. Now when I pinned, this is the very first one, and everywhere that there is a seam, I put a pin. Not only to leave it laying down, because this one is going that direction, that one's going towards this one, and this is going away from it, but just so that the sewing machine doesn't catch it. And then I'm going to sew this one. Now I'm on the last block, and there is more material, as you can see, on the back than the front. And it's not that it's more material, but because it's on the bias, it has stretched a little bit. So whenever that happens, you want to make sure that that's the part that is on the bottom, so that the foot can feed it through and make up for it, because it's a little bit. So I went ahead and I had it on this side, but I pinned it backwards, so you can see that the pins are actually on this side here. And that's the way I'm going to sew it. It's sewn just like anything else, and like I said, the feet will pull that up, and I'll show you here in a sec. And when you look at it, it's not wavy or anything, and it pulled it all up. And that's that block. It is all laid out and it's ironed. This is the back side. It's all nice and neat. It's on the front side, and it is correct. I looked with the figure 2 to make sure. You see my design wall is pretty full, so I don't have room to put it up there. So I'm going to put it on the other side of the table over here. Figure 3. And then we're going to sew it. Here's the the third row, which is figure 3. And I'm going to show you the comparison. So this is the last row I just did. The pumpkins are going up on the so the candy corn, this is actually upside down if it's a candy corn, but you would think this was the bottom. So the pumpkins are at the top, and here the pumpkins are at the bottom, and the witch's hat are at the top. So let me back it up a little bit so you can see. That's me on my tippy toes. I can't get any higher, I won't go to see the screen. And now we're going to do the very last one. The difference is that on the first one, this was flipped upside down, and this was pumpkins at the bottom and hat at the top. Because on the first one, the top had hats, now they have pumpkins. They're just reversed, that's all. So let's go ahead and get all these together. 2 that I did, and here's the first 2. So on the first 2, the pumpkins are at the bottom and the hats are at the top, and in the next one, the hats are at the bottom and the pumpkins are at the top. And then if you notice, each outside piece, for example, this and that are the same, that and that, diagonally. So now we're going to put it together. Now you can put either one of these right here on either side. It doesn't make any difference. It's up to you. It's your choice. You don't have to follow the picture if you want. You just need to put one on one side and one on the other. First thing you want to do, you want to find your center. Fold this little piece first. Fold it in half, match your seams up there, and give it a pinch. Take your square, where the flying geese are. You can either do it corner to corner or go right here in the middle. And then you're going to pinch it, just like that. Try not to stretch it because it's on the bias. take this here that you've pinched, found your middle, because it's going to go like this. I have on the opposite end there is the pumpkins going up, so the pumpkins face the fabric and the hats go away like that, which is up. Take the folded pieces, match them up the best that you can, put a pin through it, which is what I'm going to do here. Let's see if I got you. Put a pin right here in the middle. That's where my middle's at. Go to the outside here. Put a pin in it. Just like this. Go to the other side. The other corner. This corner here. Do the same thing. Put a pin in it. Now that's just holding for me to get over there to the sewing machine. And then these two spots are really the only 2 points that match. So I put my pin, whoops, which fell out, but right through the tip where it met and sewed. Go to the bottom piece, put it in the corner, the tip. Let's see if you can see that. Right down there. And this is what you want to match up, this to that, and you're going to put a pin in there. It used to be like this. I hold my pen like this, straight, and I turned the fabric. It was turned that direction, I turned to the other direction. I hold these together, and then I put a pin while this one is still sticking straight up. I put one just for myself so I know where to mark it, that's all. On both sides of that. And this is just temporary until I'm just trying to show you all this is. Because that keeps it straight and even right here while you put the pins in. And then I'll pin from the inside and go to the left, and then I'll pin from the inside and go to the right, and then I'll go ahead and finish to the corner, and the same with the other side, because you don't need to worry about anything but this point. And if you don't want to worry about it, and you're new, and this is your first time, and this is stressing you out, and you want to give up, then what I would do is just go from your middle, pin it from the middle straight to the right, from the middle straight to the left. Don't worry about anything else, because when all is said and done, you can put a appliqued cat, pumpkin, candy corn, anything you want to cover any kind of mistake that you have on this quilt. Now let me go over here to the sewing machine. Now this time what you're doing is you're taking and you're matching the sashing to the first corner of the block. So this doesn't have any sashing on it. It just goes to the corner, and then the first bit of sashing gets attached to the first seam right here. And you do it on both sides, and you don't have to be folding it in the middle or anything. Don't have to fold it in the middle, just put it just like on this end here, same thing. That's one block, there's the sashing, and it gets connected. Just make sure that you have reverse your seam, so you can either have this one go to the right or the other one go to the right. If it's just in that little spot, it's not going to make a difference. So you want to make sure that you nestle your seams. Just turn it the other direction. If it's going, let's say this one was going inward, we'd make it go outward, because that one's going outward. They're going to go opposite directions, right and left, so that you don't have all that bulk. Now I'm going to pin that whole thing and sew it. Remember in the other video when we were doing the flying geese, you want to mark right where the two pieces sew together so that you don't get its nose off, unless you want the nose off because you're going to do an applique. It's okay by me if it's okay by you. And I already know, just talking to you earlier, that whether mine are straight, I haven't looked at them. I'm hoping they're not straight, because even if they are, it makes no difference. I've already convinced myself I want to put appliques over those spots, because I think that is going to just make this quilt. Now I've got to decide whether I want to make a hat, a cat, a pumpkin, because I've got all different I could actually cut out one of these little pumpkins and put it in there. That's a good thought. The bats would be too small, but I can make a bat out of black fabric or a boot. I could even probably cut one of these hats out. That'd look pretty neat too, the pumpkins and the hat. I'll think about it and look at my stash here when I'm done. Here it is, all finished. Boy, does that look nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quilt it, and I will do a video because I'm going to use some fancy stitches, and everywhere that it's off a little bit, and it's just a hair off where the tip meets the corner of the flying geese, but I don't care because I am putting applique. Have not made up my mind yet what kind, but it'll be something Halloween. So thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you could, if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.